Welcome back to the Avahi Channel. I'm Kris from Avahi Design, and today we're going to be talking about the things that you need to get started with web design. This is the first part of a 5-part series where I take you from a concept to a functioning landing page using WordPress. Unlike photography or video, you don't really need a lot of equipment or gear. All you need is a working computer and a couple programs. Let's go ahead and hop in and talk about them. At the very base level, you're going to need a computer and a server. For the server, you can actually use your computer as a local server, so you don't even necessarily have to get server space. But if you'd rather get like a web hosting package with GoDaddy or Bluehost, that's another option that you can use. If you want to use your computer as a local server, you can use a couple different programs. You can use XAMPP, you can use WAMP, and I've actually heard a lot about Local by Flywheel recently. I've never used it, but that's probably a good option too. If you don't want to use your computer as a local server, you can get a web hosting package from a number of companies. Personally, I use GoDaddy, but I've also heard great ththings about Bluehost and WP Engine. You really only need a computer and a server to get started with WordPress, but a few other programs that I like to use would be FileZilla, which is an FTP program. FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol, and it's just an easier way to put files onto your website without using like the built-in system that GoDaddy provides. I also use Sublime Text, which is a code editor. There's really not a lot of code that you have to write outside of WordPress, but as you get more advanced, there is going to be a few things that you need to change, and having a good code editor is going to make it a lot easier. You can also use Dreamweaver or Notepad++. I just really like Sublime. It's a really simple interface, and that's just what I use. Usually when you're building a website, you're probably going to have to make content for it too, unless your client already has content made that they're just going to give you and you have to plug in. I prefer to use Photoshop because that's the program I'm most comfortable in. If you're looking for a free alternative, I hear that GIMP is a really good option. There's also a lot of writing involved, so I like to use a text editor. You could technically write it all out in your code and just write it there. But using a text editor like Word or Google Docs makes it a little bit easier for me to keep everything straight, and I can go back and make changes without having to figure it out in between lines of code. So just to reiterate, to get started with web design, you're going to need a computer and a server, whether that's with a local server or a web host. It doesn't really matter, but you have to have a place that you can actually put your website on. You're also going to need Photoshop and a text editor such as Word or Google Docs. And then you're also going to need an FTP program such as FileZilla and a code editor such as Sublime Text or Dreamweaver. All of these programs that I've mentioned are either free or you can find a free alternative that works just as well. In the next video, we're going to start planning out our website and creating any assets that we need. I'll see you guys next week.